Okay. We are live. We are live. So good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Laurie. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning,
Morning.
Karen, and good morning, Neil. And of course,
Morning.
I've got my lenses in, and this computer's so small I can't see anything. So if I go suddenly like this, you know why I can't see. But it's fabulous to have you all on here this morning, and we're hoping that people will join us, and we are going to share what's coming up, what's already happened, what we think. And if anybody's got any names for healing, please let us know. And if anybody's got any questions that they would like either of us to answer, then please let us know as well. So I just want to share that, I was only away for 4 days, and home, my daughter was ill, the granddaughter was in hospital. And she said, you've only been gone 4 days and everybody's missing you like crazy. And I thought, oh my gosh, fancy things like that happening, at such early stage. But anyway, it's one of those things that happens. But, I wanted to say, and jump in if you feel that you want to, working with spirit is the most amazing thing to do, isn't it? And we never, ever, ever stop learning. I mean, I've been doing this 34 years and I'm learning from every experience, every event, everything that I do. And I never stop. And I love that.
Yes, it's quite amazing how spirit works and inspires you and is with you and gives you support, especially when you're a long way away from your family that need you. And also, I think it's just wonderful working with the spirit world. It's I don't know, it just gives you comfort. It gives me strength, and it helps me when I sort of feel a little bit wobbly and a bit worried about stuff. I get little signs, and it's just it just sort of like gives you that. Yes, I know you're there, and I can get through this.
That's right. Spirit, working with spirit gave me the kick up the bum to keep me going and to keep me on track and to keep me here, basically. And if spirit hadn't been with me, I don't know what would have happened. But I mean, that's a long time ago. But it's one of those things that I always hold on to really, really importantly.
Yeah, I was guided into the spiritualist church over 30 years ago. And at that time in my life, I was going through lots of things that had happened in the past. And I know you can't change the past, but, holding on to things that are no longer necessary. Walking into a spiritualist church and feeling at home and knowing that this is where I belong began the healing process for me and gave me the strength to continue. And through that, then I met Roy, and I've met some wonderful people, Roy being my spiritual mentor. And it was just amazing how it does give you the strength to overcome many things, and especially putting the past where it needs to be, where you don't need it, especially the hard times as well. Not going into all of what happened to me, because many people do go through it, but finding spirit within yourself. And I didn't know it was there for such a long time. I thought, oh, this is just my life. It's pretty horrendous. But no, it wasn't really. It was something that I needed to go through to get to where I am today. And that's one of the amazing things. And, within my family now, and you all know what's going on, you're just down tools and run like Billy-O, and you got that spiritual strength and you help them, and we get to where we need to be. Thank you to spirit. So there you go.
Hello, everybody that's joining us, and good morning, Barry. Barry's just put a comment on, but that draws me nicely into that little comment that I was going to talk about. Be careful what you tolerate. You are teaching people how to treat you. And I think when we're young and inexperienced, we think, we've got to do this, and we've got to allow people to treat us this way. But, it's not. I'm 68, and it was only 4 years ago that I went, do you know what? I'm not allowing this anymore.
How old? How old? 68?
Yeah.
You're younger than that.
I know I look 108, but there we are. But anyway, it is important that we don't let people affect us. What we tolerate is how we, as I say, you are teaching people how to treat you. And we think when we're younger that we have to put up with that, but we don't.
You'll only be treated the way you want to be treated, and, you don't allow it.
Yeah. Oh, Bruno's come on. Good morning, Bruno.
Morning, Bruno.
Big hug, waiting for Val's next visit to Portugal. But I do believe that now it's time for me to return to the UK and do some demonstrations. Yeah.
Oh, bless him.
So we'll talk about you and your demonstrations and our work together, Bruno, in a second. But has anybody else got anything to say to sort of open this up? Laurie, you're being very quiet. That's not like you.
Yeah, it's just a very busy time at the moment, so my mind's a little bit out there. And
yeah, I'm a bit like that.
True. Yeah, it is true. And we see it as mediums. And, you know, if I hone this down to a bit more specific, something that's coming into the movement with some of our mediums is when we go to churches or centres, regardless of affiliations, and we just come across sometimes this. I saw a dem the other night, and there was only a mere handful in the room, mere handful, and the medium was working and not having an easy time, and they went, well, do you know what, actually, I think it's time I finished. And the chair turned around and said, well, no, you've got another 22 minutes to do. And it's just like, do you know what? If your medium says to you, do you know what? I've worked the best that I can. You know, to be publicly called out like that, I thought was incredibly disrespectful to the medium.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, there was a very, very small turnout.
But they were doing their best, Laurie, weren't they? They were doing their best, and obviously it wasn't good enough for some of them. But that's not fair, is it?
No, and it's this thing that we do come across in churches, and this set form. It's got to be this. And I agree that, you know, as mediums, we don't go in and change the format. I've had that here at Paul, where people have said, "Oh no, I'm going to do this," and I've gone, "No, you're not. You're doing a divine service, and you will do it this way. Otherwise, I will step in and take over." I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yeah. But
we do need to work more in tandem with our churches and centres, and they with us as mediums.
Yeah.
And realize, you know, times are changing. We are seeing, sadly, attendance is falling, not just in church services, but DEMS also. I'm seeing posts here about DEMS and, you know, not the turnout that we used to have. BC, before COVID. We now have DC and AC.
And DC, AC/DC.
Yeah, during, yeah, indeed. So, yeah. And we, you know, I don't know if you'd agree with me here that when we demonstrate, we want to finish on a high.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to have dragged out the last 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And go out feeling, oh, God, you know, because the comments that were only as good as our last message, you know, and this sadly is a thing. And we do that to ourselves. We can come out and just think, well, that was pants.
Have any of you ever had somebody come up to you after a service and say, oh, well, I've had this, and I'm gonna share with you, because I'm sure some of you have. A lady came up to me, and I won't mention the church, and she said, very nice service, dear, but do you have to wear black and wave your arms around? I said, well, you ain't seen my legs fly around yet, have you? I thought, oh, no, please, you know, Jenny D, the way I am, I know what I am. Yeah. I'm not going to change for anybody, because I work the way that Spirit intended for me. I know I'm a bit like this and that at times, but I've got a humour, and I haven't had humour for a long time. And then I found it, and I just thought, I like this. And if it brings upliftment to people in the congregation, because, you know, people do come into churches and you don't know what sort of day they've had.
No.
And if you're able to send them out on a highway and having that upliftment, it's a job well done, you know. But no, I don't swing my legs around in churches, trust me. But I'm too old for that, because I'm 66 on Friday. 66, I'm going to catch it up with Val.
And morning to Roger. It's funny because years ago I remember being at the churches and watching some of the old school mediums, and they were, I've talked about this before, and they were terribly Mr. Chumley Warmer type of mediums, and they were very
Chumley who?
Yeah. There used to be a character on the television years ago, Mr. Chumley Warmer, and he was dressed like a Cyril. It was a set sort of character. And I always thought, when I do this work, I want to do it with fun and laughter, because when your loved ones pass to the spirit world, they don't lose their sense of humor. So why can't we bring that sense of humor out? I know some churches still expect you to be very staid and, do not smile or laugh, but I can't help it. I think it's important to do it that way.
Oh, if I brought my grandfather through, I'll tell you, I'd get chucked out. He was always swearing. No, for medium said to me, I've got your grandfather here, and he was, so lovely. Never swore. I go, you got the wrong man, love, because honestly, he was shocking. But he wouldn't do that, would he? And I mean, I wouldn't, expect him to come through swearing. Dirty shirts and dirty fingernails,
Yeah, but and that's another thing, you've got to bring through the person correctly. And I think, I watch some audience members and they go, yeah, and you can see that they're actually not right. The medium's not right, but they're saying yes because they feel uncomfortable to actually contradict them. And I think it's important. If I get it wrong, tell me I've got it wrong, and I'll go back and make sure. Yeah.
You've got to be yourself. You've got to be yourself in your mediumship. You've got to be who you are. You've got to be the individual.
Yeah.
And work to the best of your ability, and not worry about what other people say. I mean, I think we're all our own biggest critic. I mean, like Laurie, I've come out of a church and got in the car and thought, well, you could have done better, Karen. You could have done better.
Me too.
But you just think, okay, put that down to experience and think about what and just move it on to the next one. And that's all you can do. And just, work in your own power.
Yeah.
And because sometimes you walk into churches and there's distractions, things have happened within the church, and you walk into that, but you just have to stay in your own power.
I think the committee meeting is the worst to walk into.
Yeah.
Either before a service or after a service, you feel it anyway, don't you?
You do.
There's been disagreements, arguments, and you've got to do that platform, and you think, oh God, they've had their committee meeting.
I walked into a church once and said the first words I said were, "Oh, so the committee are all at each other's throats." And it was, "Who told you that?" I said, "Nobody. It's in your church, and you need to sort it out, because if I can pick it up, so can everybody else."
Yeah.
Oh, well, they are doing. And I said, "Well, if they are upsetting you, then why are you on the committee? If I'm in company who upset me, I'd walk away from it. Simple as that. It's not difficult."
That's important. So can I just talk about, so far since being in the UK, and I'm so happy to be here, I did Caerphilly in Wales with Karen, and it was really lovely. But what I really loved was there are certain people that are going to all the events that I'm at, and they're traveling really big distances. So there was Roger from Bristol, there was Di from Bridgewater, and there was Leif from America.
Yeah.
Who happened to be in Ireland and then made his way. But we had a great Welsh welcome, and it was so lovely to work in Wales. And then Karen and I trekked around Caerphilly Castle.
We did.
Which was wonderful. And it was lovely working with you in that situation, Karen. And my mum was very kind, and she hosted us, didn't she? She
did. And your mum was lovely. It was so nice to meet her.
Yeah.
And meet some of your family. And see beautiful Caerphilly. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I said to Mike when I got back, I said, we'll have to go back. I said, you'll love it. I said, you'll love the castle. I said, it's a lovely town.
It is beautiful. And then I went from there to Portugal. Now, I've never worked in Portugal before. Bruno, who's on here this morning or tonight, I got in touch with him and cheekily said, how about I come to Portugal and do some work with you? And he was so excited. And Bruno, you were amazing. And you were a great host. and working with you. We did 2 shows in 2 days, and he took us here, there, and everywhere. No, sorry, 2 shows in 1 day. And working with a translator sometimes can be a little bit difficult, but it was really, really good. And we worked well together. We bounced off each other, which was lovely. And I love working in the formula. Each medium does one message, and then we go back around again. And that for me keeps the energy going. I think that's actually quite lovely way of working. But Portugal was an amazing city. I'd never been before, and we did lots and lots and lots and lots of walking. But it was great. So yes, Bruno, I'm coming back, most definitely. There's no way I'm not. And then I went to Bristol. My lovely friend Julie, it was an honor, and it was an honor to come to see you and work with you, Bruno. Thank you. So my lovely friend Julie has set up an organization called the Single Mums Business Network, SMBN, and she was hosting a conference in Bristol. And Julie has been one of those, I suppose, very like me. I never stop working, and she never does either, but she believes in fairness. And it's not just been for single mums, it's actually been for single dads as well, because the system doesn't allow you to be, a lot of the time, normal, decent human beings and be able to survive. And she was one of those non-survivors. She wrote a lovely book called Breaking Out of Benefits Jail. But she has fought through the Houses of Parliament and all the ministers and everything for fairness. So I actually went and spoke at her conference, and I talked about my own journey. I was going to do a mediumship dem, but I ended up talking about my own journey and how my working with spirit got me through divorce with 3 children, bringing them up single-handedly, all of those things, and struggling. But it was the one thing that came out of the conference with me, and I'm sure people will recognize this, is that when people find themselves in a situation where they're divorced, you can't hold down a full-time job because you've got children, you end up in debt, you end up with CCJs, you end up with the banks won't help you. Where do you go? Who do you talk to? But you feel embarrassed to actually admit that and talk about it. So for me, that was a really great conference. And I said to them, they need to get that more publicly out there. And I love the fact that she's now aiming at single dads as well as single mums. And in between, it's been catch-ups with family, which has been so lovely, because I haven't seen family for 4 years. So I met up with my son and daughter-in-law and 2 beautiful granddaughters, and then my sister-in-law, my nieces, their children, and now I'm being hosted here by Ian, which is wonderful. So Ian is down in Portsmouth. So anyway, so that's what's going on. And then tonight we have the Harlequin.
We do.
I'm very excited because I haven't been there I can't even remember the last time I worked there, but I always have a very, very good response there. And I know, you guys will have a great experience there as well. So,
looking forward to it.
Yeah. And the 4 of us are all working together, which is going to be an amazing situation, because we all work so differently, I think. And I think that's what's going to be a good point to the evening, is the difference between us all and how we work. And all very good mediums, obviously. And what else has been going on? I just need to mention that Paynton has due to unforeseen circumstances, been cancelled. So that's not happening. But then the rest of the week, goodness me, we've got pool on the weekend with Laurie.
We have.
And you've got the whip out, Laurie, and you've got us doing all sorts of stuff, which is going to be amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like to miss
Whip out. I love that.
Yeah.
So
We're looking forward to the weekend.
So it'd be good.
Yeah, it will be really good. And there's demonstrations, there's readings, there's
Workshops.
there's the Lyceum. And what else have we got on there, Laurie?
Well, Friday you both kick off with somebody's just asked, is this a business meeting?
No. No. This is a meeting so we can talk. We're talking about the work that we do, the work that's coming up, the work that I've done, and we're very happy to have you on here, Nikki. So I've known Nikki since she was 13. So she's
Aw.
a very, very good friend, part of a group that my son used to belong to. No, you're not interrupting at all, and you can ask questions. You can ask any questions. So yeah, I do know her very well. So lovely to have you on. Nikki is from used to be West Wickham and now lives on the South Coast. So come along to one of the events and say hello, Nikki. It's all on the website, which is I should put that up, shouldn't I? So everybody knows where we're going to be. It's all on the website. So there it is. So yeah, so any questions you've got, please let us know. And oh, she's now 45 and I've known her since she was 16. Goodness me, you make me feel old. So anyway, so what else have we got going on? I'm really, really excited about what's coming up. And I've got a full week of readings next week as well. So that's a bit crazy.
Do you ever sleep, woman?
No. Ian is sitting here opposite me going, no. I work in my sleep. My brain never shuts off. It's not a good thing. But anyway, come on. Let's. What else can we talk about? And we've got Jenny and I are doing the Borough Football Club, and there are a few tickets left, I think, for that. The tea rooms.
Not many. Tea room is very booked.
Yeah. And then pool, gosh, and for pool, get in touch with me or have a look at the website because the all the information is on my website page. Lucia, oh, lovely to see you on here, Lucia. So the other phrase that I saw this morning that I thought was quite apt, because I was looking at people's attitude to things in life, and some people are so negative and down. And you know what? For me, I count my blessings because I've woken up this morning. I count my blessings that I'm actually I've woken up breathing. I'm still alive. I think that's important. And other people don't look at it that way. They're just doom and gloom. But the phrase that I saw was, or the paragraph, your emotional and mental state sets the tone for what you attract in life. Raise your frequency and you'll naturally attract better opportunities and experiences. And that is so true. Years ago, when I was in a very, very difficult state, somebody gave me the book, The Secret. Oh, my goodness me. That just turned my life around completely. And it is an incredible, incredible book to read. But that attitude to life is really important because it doesn't matter. There's always somebody worse off than you. There's always something, that you've got through. And I think that's another thing that we forget is we forget to recognize the experiences and the difficult times that we've actually got through, and then look back and go, oh my God, at the time I would never have thought that I would get through that. Anyway,
very true. Yeah, it's very true.
I think we have to same with. Sorry, Karen, carry on.
We have to count our blessings, and also my mum was like you, Val. She was like human dynamo. She never stopped.
She was.
You remember her, and she was an amazing woman, and she never let anything get to her. And I watched her, and I think that sort of stayed with me. I sort of carry on and keep going and keep going. And people say to me, "Oh, you've got a lot going on, or this has happened, or that's happened," and I say, "Yeah, but I'm dealing with it. You've just got to keep positive." And I think we have to count our blessings and be grateful for what we've got. I mean, it's raining here, and it's probably raining with you. And I'm thinking, well, that's a result because I haven't got to get the watering can out to water the garden. The rain's done it for me.
What do you think?
Carry on, Jen. You were going to speak.
I've forgotten what I was going to say now. That's how much I'm tuned in this morning, right? No, it's like my plate is pretty full as well, and and I think you're right. You get that inner strength. You pull yourself up from the boots, and you just go. I just got to get on with it. You adapt to change. When my daughter-in-law passed away in February, none of us knew she was going to pass away, but we had to. My life has changed. My son's life has changed, but you just get on with it. down tools and run like Billy-O. And you do. You just have to adapt to the change. And it hasn't hurt me. If anything, I just feel a really better person for doing what I do, you know, because I'll openly admit years ago, I thought, oh, didn't really like me, but Spirit has really helped me to turn my life around. And then again, it's like working with Spirit and all that you do for Spirit and the inspiration that you can bring. Not everybody's going to like you. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but that's fine. You know, I'll reach out to those that are wanting to listen to me and be friends with me and understand me and vice versa, you know. But I thank Spirit for the strength they give me to help my son as well and my grandchildren and Anthony as well, because he's terminally ill. So you just adapt to the change, you know, and it just gets you a long way.
That's what I love about you, Jen. I mean, yesterday it was pouring with rain. You're going through all that you're going through. We laughed. I nearly fell over laughing at one point yesterday in the rain. It was hysterical. But that's what I love. But don't you find, though, that with the work that we do, it makes you stronger. It makes you more determined to get through something. What do you reckon, Neil?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've been going through family, 3 members of my family have got illnesses, especially my mum and my auntie. Stuff with, your general life as well, your work, not being happy in your work, really, my full-time job. I still just get on with it, just think of pay the bills, and I've got my Spirit work and I enjoy that. But next year, there's definitely going to be changes, definitely, without doubt.
Yeah, I've just getting a message there, Neil. You need to ditch the job and do the Spirit work. It's just, And do you know what? When I made that decision, that was the best thing I ever did. And it gave me the opportunity to do this full time. And I know, Laurie, you're in a situation where you run the church full time and you've got so much going on there. I don't know how you do it sometimes.
Because he's Superman. He's Superman.
While we've been on air, I've just swapped 2 mediums who asked to swap their dates and posted out some more advertising for this week. So you do. But we had beautiful service yesterday again here at Paul, and I do this little preamble thing, and it just came out, and I said, you know what? We've all been through hard times, but without those hard times, we wouldn't be the person we are today.
Very true.
So actually, we need a bit less attitude, a bit more gratitude, because these things do come. These things do come in our life to trial us and to see how we react. I'm engaged. There's a post at the moment. It's quite interesting. Some of the comments flying about in there. But I've got to stop poking. Every now and then I see a post and I think, you know what, I'm going to poke. I just throw a comment in and then run away giggling.
Yeah.
But you know what, this life is a joy, and we've got to find the joy in all that. And there are dark days. Days. But they are forming us. They are creating us. There are opportunities on how we respond. I like your comment there about when somebody said, do you always have to wear black and, wave your arms about? Well, if I get situations like that, and I said, well, thank you so much for your unasked for opinion. So you just sort of bring back that control. I may or may not take that on board, and it's a few years ago, I probably would have reacted quite differently, but this is what happens. We evolve and we try to get the...
I wasn't quick enough, Laurie. To get it, but I had Roy by my side. He said, you leave her alone. She's a natural, like manure. She's natural. She's like manure.
So Nikki's just asked a question.
Shove her on the roses and she'll grow.
Or under them.
So Nikki has just asked a question.
Sorry,
are people born? That's all right. Are people born being able to do this spirit stuff? I love that, Nikki. I'm not trying to undermine your views, but I've been brought up in the Christian church and have been avidly told to avoid the type of things you do, but it's always intrigued me. I was brought up in a Church of England church, and for me it was very frowned upon. And I've talked about this before. I've had spirit with me since I was 7. And I couldn't talk about it because nobody understood, nobody believed me. I thought people would think I was a crazy person. I am, but I don't care anymore. Actually, being a crazy person probably helps. But it is a natural ability that I believe, and this is my opinion, we are all born with the ability to communicate with spirit and to heal. But life takes over. And it gets pushed away. Now, you can tap back into that, or you don't have to tap back into it. It's up to you. And I'm so glad that I found West Wickham Spiritualist Church when I did, because it was at a time where, oh my gosh, my life was just awful. I just wanted to opt out. But I found the strength. I found the love of spirit. I realized that my loved ones were still around me, guiding me, helping me. And they gave the evidence that proved 150 million% that they were with me and watching me. It was just wonderful. So, morning, Brett.
Morning, Brett. Nikki's just said, because she had an experience as a young child and she still has experiences.
Yeah.
So, yes, lots of people do.
Yeah.
But they push it to one side.
Yeah.
And like you, Val, I'd had experiences, but was a bit scared, and I didn't want to know. But fate has a funny way of putting you in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And I was taken to West Wickham Spiritualist Church. And when I walked in the doors, it was like, wow, this is the place where I'm meant to be.
Mm.
And then we met.
Yes.
And we sat in circle together. And I got involved in the church, started doing a healing course, sat on the committee, did training as a medium. And from walking in those doors, my life changed.
Mm. Yeah.
Just by making that decision to go with my friends.
Yeah.
That night.
And no, Nikki, we're not all from West Wickham. That was fluky that Karen and I 30 odd years ago met one another. We were in the same development circle, and then we've come full circle.
Yeah.
And Jenny and I, it's really weird because we followed each other. And I watched her, she watched me, and we didn't actually work together till about 5 years ago. And Jenny just messaged me and said, do you want to work with me? And I was so blessed by that. Neil lives in South London as well. And Neil's surname is Payne. And my grandmother's name was Payne. And we are actually distantly related. And we're not quite sure where that happens or how, but we'll work it out one day, Neil.
Yeah.
And then Laurie, you're on the South Coast, and we've met you through the incredible work that you do as well. And we're very blessed. I feel very blessed that we've all come together. And I'm going to mention you again, Jenny, because when I look at that you lost your daughter-in-law and now Anthony is terminally ill, I don't know how you smile. I don't know how you laugh through everything. I don't know how you still every day do your work. But what I do know is that spirit working with you gives you that strength and that courage and that foresight to keep going. It's lovely. It's wonderful.
Definitely. You're a strong woman, Jen. You are.
Yeah.
And it's times when we come up against the greatest adversities in our life is the time when we find our strength.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, my
Jen,
internet's
please,
playing up.
Well, come off
My internet's
Tinder,
playing up,
love.
sorry. Sorry, my internet's playing up. I'm not on Tinder. I'm not even on Cinder, Tinder, Rinder, Judge Rinder. I'm not on any of that. It's just I'm not near my router.
I'm shocked you even know what it is.
Stop yawning, Laurie. I'm not on my router. What, your router? Don't mention route on here.
You
Yeah, I was
can't.
going to say, it's not
Sorry.
different in Australia,
My
Val.
internet-
You can't say that in Australia. No, you can't say that in Australia. I got caught with that. I was doing a demonstration of mediumship, and I got terribly lost. My sat nav was awful, and I got to this demonstration, and I was probably about an hour late. And I got up on stage, and I was so apologetic, and I said, "I'm so sorry. My sat nav brought me the wrong route," and everybody fell about laughing. And I went, "What have I said? What have I said?" And of course, it means having sex over there. Anyway, so it's a router. In Australia, it's a router. It's funny that, yeah, different countries have got different terminology, and you've got to be careful what you say, which I think is hysterical. And I still get caught. So,
I learned
so
from that
yes,
one.
yes, you did. Yeah.
I was working in America, and in a communication, I said, "Oh, this gentleman's just showing me his fags," and the looks from people, and I'm like, "Wow, the guy was a smoker." The chairperson very kindly private messaged me saying, "Faggies so and so over here," and went, "Oh right, no, he's not showing them."
Oh dear.
Yeah, but you've got to be so careful, haven't you? Not meaning to be rude. Like they're not. You're going to get your baps out. They're bread rolls.
Yeah.
They're bread rolls, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are. They are.
I know. I've overstepped the mark. They
Yeah.
are bread rolls, because I had one yesterday with a sausage and bacon in it, and it was really nice. Carry on.
Nikki-
I've brought the house down. I know I have.
I think me and Neil are seeing the same vision. Are we not, Neil?
Oh, Brett's just
Do you
said
know,
a
it
funny
just goes
one.
to show we're human beings. We're human beings.
Yeah. And Nikki said about Fanny in America. Yes, absolutely. And Brett has said he asked somebody he asked somebody for Durex in the UK, and I wanted sticky tape. So that's called sticky tape in Australia. So yeah, I know. Yeah, very funny. But that's okay. And then you know what though is if you get it wrong, we can laugh at it, and that's the important thing. Once you explain and go, oh yeah, ha, sorry. But yeah, I enjoy working with you, Jenna, and it was funny because we talked about this the other day. The first time I worked with Jenny, I had 3 days been in from Australia, so I still had jet lag. And I'm sitting there watching Jenny working, and my jaw was on the floor because it was so funny and so accurate. And she turned around and saw me with my jaw on the floor, and she'd finished her message, and she said, "Oh, I know, love, you've got jet lag. I'll just do another one and let you come too, or get your wits with you or whatever." And it was just hysterical. So I've never worked with anybody so funny in my life. It's so tonight's going to be an interesting evening, I reckon.
Yes, because we all, as you said, we all work differently.
And a mix of personalities.
Absolutely. And that's what's going to be great, because everybody's going to get a taste of us, which is nice.
Different.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
So
And we've all had very good training. Now, that's something that I want to talk about. And of course, Neil, I know you from the Arthur Findlay College when I used to go there, and you worked behind the bar. And I remember do you know what? Naughty, I know. But after working from 9 till 9 at the Arthur Findlay College, I was the first one in the bar and the last one out. I had many conversations with Neil. I don't know if you remember that, Neil, but I do remember. There was something I was going to say. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything on that one. Oh yes, we've all had good training. And for me, when you see mediums who say, "Oh, I'm a natural born medium," okay, we're all natural born mediums. But we can have a natural ability to be able to tinker with a car, but we can't go and work for Rolls-Royce because we don't know the back end of the ins and outs of the full engine. And that's what we've done by having the training. We've learnt all the different skills, all the different levels, all the different ways of being able to work with spirit and with others. And I think for me, that is so important, that training, that learning how to do it properly, and that finite detail is so important.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, good training allows us to explore our vulnerabilities. And you do see, funnily enough, that post that I mentioned, that I had a little poke with, you could see people in there, how dare somebody tell me I'm not good enough for their church? Well, if people keep telling you that, maybe you want to explore why people are saying that.
Yeah.
Rather than getting defensive, they've got a clique. They won't let anybody. Hang on a minute. If you're getting turned down by all these churches, maybe you want to actually ask yourself why. And that's what I mean about us exploring our vulnerabilities. You know, every time we go out, like we've all said, we're our own greatest critics at times, which can be detrimental to our own mediumship.
Yeah.
But, you know, we take it off of peers. There's nobody in this room today that if you said, you know what, Laurie, I want to chat to you about your dem the other night, blah, 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 blah. You know, and I would take that in good course, you know. But unfortunately, you do see, and the word "the natural medium" I did put in this post. If I employed an electrician, they said they were a natural electrician, I would get another electrician in. As simple as that. You maybe, I always say we've got a pair of hands, but without 8 years training, I'm not a surgeon. And if you want proof of that, come down here and I'll do an operation on you. We may have these abilities, but we do need that in-depth, you know. And I know at the college you have, what is it, Tearful Wednesdays or Tearful Tuesdays?
Weepy Wednesday.
Weepy Wednesdays, when it's just like, yeah, because we're exploring our vulnerabilities. It's not a feel-good factor. It's, oh, you were wonderful, dear. Oh, well done. You know, well, yes, that was great. You know, we put ourselves up to have that critique, and when it's done properly, it is constructive.
Yeah, definitely.
I know working, I've told this story a million times, but I'm going to just share it. I was on a course with a great teacher, and I got up and I did my mediumship, was get off the stage, that was rubbish. And I went, and then I got back up on the stage, get off the stage, you are not listening to me. And then I got up again and I went, yeah, I know I was rubbish, I'll just get off. But that night, I actually got picked to demonstrate at the Arthur Findlay College. And it was one of the best demonstrations, and the whole place was just rocking with laughter because it was so funny, but it was so detailed. And I thought, okay, what he'd done is he had pushed that vulnerability with me to the nth degree, and it made me step out of my comfort zone in such a way that my mediumship changed. And that was about 8 years ago, actually. So I constantly am learning. So Nikki has just asked a question. So if a bad message comes through, does your training tell you not to say it? For me, I don't say bad messages because I don't believe that spirit will give you bad information. Why would spirit do that? I don't know if any of you want to say anything on that.
I once heard. Sorry, Laurie, carry on.
No, carry on, darling.
Yeah, I once heard somebody had told somebody in the audience that their partner had 4 months to live. How irresponsible is that? That is truly irresponsible.
Yeah.
You know, why would you put that on? And it's the same with, for example, you know, you have those that have gone to spirit through tragedy. And some mediums will not say, I mean, I don't know who they are, I've just heard things, but, you know, I've gone through how that their loved one had actually passed, for example, with the tragedy, and I'm not going to say it, but why would you put that loved one through that by bringing all that tragic event back, as in saying it went here, it went there, it was this, it was that? No. They know. All you've got to say is your loved one's here. They passed through tragic circumstances. And that loved one knows that, you know, they don't have to relive through the bit, you know, this went there and that went there and this happened there, because it's not acceptable.
And this is where you bring the beautiful evidence through, the funny personality, the silly things they did, the memories that are shared, which are really important. Sorry, Laurie, you wanted to say something?
No, it's fine. I've just taken a slightly different slant on the bad message element. I did hear a medium once go to somebody who was trying to make the name for themselves, and her wordage was beautiful. She basically said to this woman, listen, if you keep playing about with this, you know what, you are going to really regret it. She put it in such an eloquent way. you really had to listen to it. And I sat there and I thought, bloody hell, if somebody had given me that message, I would curl up and die.
Mm.
But because you understood the energy, what was actually being said. So, sorry, Nikki, yeah, exactly. And this is I've seen, expand on what Jenny was just talking about. I've actually seen this. Oh, I've got this guy, young himself. It's like that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what are you doing? Because then it becomes the medium. There's no longer spirit involved. It's the medium.
I actually had a student who did that once, and I went afterwards. I went, you shouldn't have done that. And apparently, she got told by another medium, a top medium, that was okay to do that. I didn't think it was okay to do that.
No.
It happened to be the message was from somebody in the audience who was a friend of the mum of this person. If it had been the mum in the audience, and you go like that, for goodness sake, that's horrible. So yeah.
And it's how we describe things. One of the open platforms that we used to run here at Paul, this up and coming said, "Oh yeah, I got your son here. He was a druggie. He died of a drug overdose." And I just stopped her. I went, "No, wait, no." But that's what Spirit said. But I said, "But it came out of your mouth.
Yeah.
You're responsible."
Yeah.
And interestingly, a few months later, I was working and a similar energy came through. And I thought, okay, put your money where your mouth is. I've got a young man here. I said, you would recognise him. He had a very addictive personality. And the woman went, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was all that was said. Nobody else was none the wiser. So it's down to the medium and how we word things, and not to make us look good, because we're not working for us, we're working for them and them.
Yeah.
So I've had to move around to get near my router. So I'm sort of perched on a chair at the moment, feeling quite uncomfortable. But yeah, my router is next to that wall. So I'm sorry, guys. I've had to move around. So
that's okay.
I look a bit awkward.
That's okay.
I mean,
so Nikki has asked, I love the fact you're on here, Nikki, asking all these questions. Nikki's just said, would you advocate somebody who you knew to do a mediumship reading for you? Well, I actually, I personally feel that if you do a reading for somebody you know, I always say to Spirit, and I do this publicly as well, if Spirit draws me to somebody I know, I will say publicly, I know this person, but I'm going to ask Spirit to give me information that I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, why give information about somebody that you know, and then leave the audience to believe that they don't know you?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
No, if you go to your own church, or if you go to churches that you serve a lot, you get to know people, and people come to support you. I mean, tonight there's going to be people in the audience that I know, and if I do come to them with a member of their loved ones, then I will say, I do know them. I'm connected to them through the church, and I do exactly what you do and say, give me something that I don't know.
Yeah.
We've got to demonstrate that integrity on the platform.
Absolutely.
And that was one of my pressure points. I had a medium once say, "Oh, I want to come to the gentleman over there." I said, "Do you mean?" And I named the medium, the one that you worked with last Saturday. I'm just like, don't pull that stump, mate, because I will pull you up on it.
Yeah.
And another one went, "Oh, I'll come to the lady at the back." I said, "Your circle leader."
Yeah.
Don't do it. That is unnecessary.
Honesty and integrity is so important. So Jenny, lovely to see you on here, and yes, see you later. That'd be great. And Leanne is in Australia. That's brilliant. And so Nikki's saying her dad and her best mate died within 3 months in a one-on-one situation, not a group or platform. But Val knows this. So go to another medium that is recommended. And if you want a reading, I would recommend any of the guys that are on here, Nikki. And if you want their information, then go to my website and or send me an email, and I can link you to them. Because I would highly recommend any of them, and that goes for anybody. These guys that I'm working with here today, you guys are wonderful.
Oh.
So are you, Val?
Well, do you know what? I think that's another thing. What I love about the work that we do is working with lovely people and
Mm-hmm.
meeting lovely people.
Yeah, we're lucky.
Yeah, and sort of, I think that's so important to make contacts, to make friendships, to support each other as well.
Yeah.
It's like yes. It's like at the weekend, I was away. I went to London for the weekend, and they're from friends that I've met on Zoom. Jason Rothwell from Manchester and Melissa, who had an opening to Fulham Church through me. So we all ended up meeting up with a committee of Fulham, going out for an evening on Saturday. And I think that's really lovely when you build that relationship, you know, and that's all from lockdown on Zoom.
Yeah. So lockdown has done some big favors for us all, hasn't it? Because I mean, we were all connecting with people from all over the world on Zoom, and it's been really fantastic for me. I mean, I went to Portugal and just poked Bruno and said, "Oh my gosh, I've met you in person." So I've made huge connections through lockdown and COVID, but now it's nice to be able to get back out there and actually be able to do the touchy-feely stuff. And yeah, you're right, Ian.
Do you remember how we met, Val? Do you remember how we met? I reached out to you, didn't I? And I knew you were coming over, and I said, how would you like to come and do some work? And we've become really good friends because I reached out.
I know.
It was just something. I just thought, I've got to reach out.
Yeah. And
I've never looked back. So it's going to be lovely to meet Karen tonight. Well, I've already met Neil.
Do you know what? I was going to say that I've not met you in person. I've not met Laurie in person either. Although I feel I know you because we've been in contact for so many years.
Well, Neil had a lovely drive in my car, didn't you, Neil? And when my sat nav came on, when you reach this, I'm going to say it. I know we're in a meeting. When you get to the roundabout, make sure your leg warmers haven't slipped.
I loved it.
We were in the car yesterday, Neil, and we had it going the whole journey, and we were just falling about laughing. It was hysterical. It was just one of the voices that Jen's got. I think it's 80s gym instructor or something. And you can change the voice on your sat nav. I think I'm going to go and play with mine now. But I'm looking forward to being able to give you a big hug, Laurie, because just being able to meet you online and it's lovely because the other thing about working on this platform is you can feel the love from people, but there is nothing like being able to feel the love from people. So I'm looking forward to the big hugs when we see you, Laurie.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very weird now. And this has happened so many times where we've got to know people and then you actually get to meet them in person.
Yeah.
And there's this sort of like hesitancy. It's like, I know you, but I've not met you. It's really, I walked around the corner and Tim Abbott arrived and we just looked at each other and went, hello.
Yeah. And Ian, I'm sitting here with has seen you all online, and he's looking forward to meeting you guys tonight, and in Poole as well, Laurie. So you'll get to meet Ian as well. So Barry has just put up here, and thanks for that, Barry. I've had suicide victims come through, and I say they decided to take the matter into their own hands. Is that okay? How do we deal with that one? We've got 5 minutes.
Sorry, what was the
when you have a suicide victim, and Barry says he tells them that they've decided to take the matter into their own hands, and it's a very sensitive thing to have to.
How I would deal with that situation is I would say that somebody wasn't quite right dealing with their lives, to be quite honest. And that's where mental health can come into play with that. That's what I would say.
My nephew committed suicide. It'll be 2 years on the 18th of November, and you wouldn't have thought there was anything wrong. You wouldn't have thought, but he left his 4-page letter to his wife and he went to the other side of life, and we're never going to get the answers from that.
So
only he knows.
How do we bring that through, though, to a loved one that's having a reading?
I think sometimes it's when you're in that moment, in that power, in that sensitivity, and I find
You
that
find the words.
the words come,
Hmm.
you know, and the spirit communicator comes through with the right words to say. And quite often I've had that situation where they come through and say, "I'm sorry for doing this to you," and that's all they say, and that person then knows. But even though evidence of how a person passed is a very good piece of evidence to sort out who is coming through,
Yeah,
that person had a life before their passing.
that's right.
And I think it's important to tell that person's story
Mm.
about the good things, about the things that they did together
Mm.
before perhaps they were in that state of mental health where they took their own life.
Yeah. And I think Jenny
like-
mentioned this about dwelling dwelling on the how they passed and how
Yeah.
they were at that time of. I think that is a terrible thing to do. So yeah, it's really important to pick up on the happy memories.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing every day. We're making memories. So when
Yes.
we go to the other side, we can say, "Oh, do you remember when we were all on Zoom and Jenny Doherty was talking about a router?" You know, things like that. But it's those sorts of things that we're trying to do, aren't we? Create the memories. What about you, Laurie? What do you reckon?
I like Nikki's comment there. She put down, I think she's talking about Karen. That's really interesting. Women in blue.
Oh,
Woman, woman in blue.
Oh, your names haven't come up. That's right. Your names haven't come up. I don't know why.
they were, but they've disappeared.
They were, but they've disappeared. Yes. Oh, there you go.
Oh, they
It's
go.
because I had the banner across the bottom. So the woman in blue is Karen, Nikki, just so as you know. So what about you, Laurie? What words of wisdom have you got on that one?
Regarding the suicide, sorry, somebody just tried calling me on Facebook and I had to quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Again, each one is individual and unique. You know, there are generic. Say, you would understand that the passing was sudden and unexpected because you know we're communicating then with the sitter. We're relaying that information to the sitter, and the sitter will comprehend that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
You know,
basically
they-
want to know if their loved ones are okay as well, don't they? That's the main point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is
Reassurance,
he
isn't
okay?
it?
Are they okay? Is she okay? Sorry, Laurie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even, you know, say, I'll see you after the service.
Yeah,
That's
I've
always
done
quite
that
a
before.
handy
Yeah.
tool. You know, there are other things, but I'll have a chat with you after the service.
Yeah,
And
I've done that.
there are some people who don't know what happens to people when they go to the spirit world. And are they sitting on a fluffy cloud playing a harp? Are they
Yeah.
floating around in the ether? Have they met up with family? Have they gone to the dark place? You know, and they want to know. It doesn't matter who we are, what religion we are. We go to the spirit world. We're met by loved ones, and some of us have healing to do. And this is things that I've learned over the years. Some of us have to heal, but we all end up in the same place.
Mm.
Did you
Yeah.
read one? Did you read once? There was a gentleman, and he said he was physical, but he'd taken himself off to spirit, and he wanted to see what it was like. So he went off. He said, and when I got there was no one there. So he came back, and I went, well, when I go, I don't want to see nobody. I want to see all my relatives and my friends, you know, and all those that I've known and loved, and you know, make those connections. No, he went off there. There's no one there. I thought, where did you go then?
I sometimes think some of the people who come out with these comments are away with the fairies, to be quite honest.
Oh,
you
we
know.
were away with the fairies. It was a shop yesterday.
We
Oh,
did.
I saw your post.
Yeah.
On a,
Brilliant.
on a personal note, when my mum was very ill and she was in hospital, I walked into her little room and she was lying there and she had this beautiful, serene look on her face. And I thought she'd gone. And then I touched her hand and I realised she hadn't. But I sat down and I thought, God, my dad's here.
Mm.
And then we just sat there. I held her hand and we just sat in that moment. And then she came to and she looked at me and she said, you know where I've been, don't you? And I said, yes. And I said, I know who's been here. And from that moment, it was like she knew that she was going, and she started to sort of say, right, I want this, this, and this at my funeral. And she started to sort of get her house in order. And after that, about 2 or 3 days later, she went. And she knew that she was going, but my dad was there, and that gave me comfort that my dad was going to be with her when she took her transition.
Absolutely.
Can I just ask something quickly? Anthony went to see the doctor, and I hope it's okay that I can share this with you. And Anthony came home, and he said the doctor started talking to me about dying, what it would be like. And I don't know, was that right? Is that right?
Yeah.
I think so, because I just thought the doctor was just saying, oh, you know, your body just gives up and you drift away. And I don't know. But Anthony obviously wanted to ask that and hear that from him. So I don't know.
It was interesting that I've never known a doctor sort of say
No,
that.
I haven't. And that's why
No.
I don't know if any of you have had that experience.
They don't normally talk about that. They normally
but
talk
maybe-
about,
Yeah, but maybe the doctor is aware of what we do and is aware of the spirit world. Because I remember when my mum had cancer, first breast cancer, and that was all through my dad coming from the spirit world to tell me to get my mum tested. And the consultant actually said to my mum, how did you know that you had breast cancer? So she said, well, my son's a medium and he talks to his dead father, you know. And the consultant said, I believe in that because my mother also is a healer.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it depends on the doctor, doesn't it? It does
Yeah.
depend.
Well, I hope you don't mind me sharing that. I just
No.
want to know if you had, what your opinions were on it.
but then, you know, you're a medium, Jen, so you can talk to him about it.
But Anthony just everything's in his head all the time. He doesn't speak about it, but that's his prerogative, isn't it? He doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. But I know.
It is.
Yeah.
I just want
to.
Nikki's put another question up. I mention the passing, Nikki, as a piece of evidence, but I don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
And yes, that it is with the bereaved. They do have that on their mind. And what we have to do is not allow them to think about that time of when they were ill and when that person passed. We have to move them to think about the good times that you shared together, because it's part of the healing.
Yeah.
So yes, I use it as a piece of evidence, but I don't dwell on it. I talk about the life.
I must admit, with my students, you know, they can come out with all sorts of information. I said, yeah, but if you give that, I've got a man, he's 5'8", he had a heart attack, he is your dad, he wore different color shoes at one time because he was colorblind and he played golf on a Tuesday. Those bits of information, whittle the person down to who you're with. It's really important to get that clarity on that evidence, I think. So you've told them how he passed, but you haven't dwelled.
That's right.
Yeah,
definitely.
Anyway, but I think we have run out of time, and I have got to go away and put my glad rags on and make myself look beautiful for tonight's show. Really, really, really looking forward to working with you, Neil, Karen and Jenny. And then excited about coming down to Poole on the weekend. And you definitely have got that whip out because I can feel it. She's doing that, she's doing the other. But it's going to be great meeting you and everybody else there. But thank you for sharing everything today. I know that the questions have been interesting for everybody. They've been interesting for myself. I don't know about you guys, but 7:30 tonight, I think it is 7:30.
Yeah,
at the Harlequin Theatre in Red Hill, and there are tickets still available. You can buy them on the door as well. And looking forward to seeing all of you there. And then Jenny, we've got the tea rooms tomorrow in Haven't
West Street, 49 West Street.
Gosport on Thursday at the Borough Football Club. And then Poole has us on Friday through to Sunday.
Yes.
Correct.
Wonderful. Well,
So
thank you.
Dizzy Bees.
We're what? We're busy bees.
We are.
We are, but it's great. I know people have seen my schedule and gone, "What?" But you know what? When you've got the opportunity, you make the most of it and do as much as you can. I don't ever want to stop doing the work that I do, and I know all of you are exactly the same. So I look forward to seeing you all this evening, except for Laurie. Laurie, we see you on Friday. Yes, big hugs and cuddles, and thank you all. For joining me, and thank you everybody for joining us, and questions and comments and likes and whatever. But we will see you very soon. I'll notify you when there's another live coming up, because I'm all out of sync at the moment, but that doesn't matter. We'll see you soon. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.